Have you ever seen notifications like this? This? The chances are you did it for a few days, weeks, months, maybe even almost a year. But then you gave up. You ever wondered why you gave up? Well, in this video I'm going to tell you why Duolingo sucks. Duolingo, the world's best way to learn a language. Now that's a very bold claim for a simple application. So I wondered, was this true or was this just some unfounded nonsense? Well, I did some digging and I found a 2024 paper titled "The Effectiveness of Duolingo in Developing Receptive and Productive Language Knowledge and Proficiency." What a mouthful. The study itself aimed to evaluate the effectiveness of Duolingo's Spanish course for English speakers over a 3-month period for independent learners, N equals 48. It concluded that, after about 27 hours of study, participants significantly improved in all receptive and productive ability measures, supporting the notion that language learning apps can enhance a range of language skills. Wow, so that's it then. The video's done. Clearly, Duolingo helps people learn languages. But wait, let us just dig a little deeper. The article itself was written by Brian Smith from Arizona University, Xingying Zhang from, wait a minute, a leading scientist at Duolingo, and then Ryan Peters, also a senior learning scientist at Duolingo. 2 of these lead authors actually work for the company itself. Now, do we think if I'm working for a company, it's in my benefit to say that the application I'm working for is doing a good thing for people or is helping people? Of course it is. This will help me keep my job and help the company stay in business. Also, probably sell Duolingo a bit more to people who do the research. Now, you may be wondering at the beginning when I showed you the number N48, what that actually meant. Well, it means that this study only had 48 participants. This does come up later in the paper, in limitations and future directions section, and they said, during a 3-month learning period, 30% of participants left or were removed from the study, meaning that of the 69 participants who commenced the learning process, 48 completed the study, meeting the set engagement criterion of at least 15 minutes of daily app usage for a minimum of 5 days per week. So 21 people could not complete the study. Does this sound like the world's best way to learn a language to you when they can't even keep their participants? And all they're trying to do is learn the language for 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week. It's not even every single day. Totally, this is a very small amount to learn a language, and if it was really that fun, I can't imagine the dropout being that severe. And also, this study is only directed at people who are studying Spanish. Spanish learners might not be generalizable to learners in other Duolingo courses because not all Duolingo courses are the same level of content developed and CEFR alignment. Now that's a mouthful, but what it basically means is that Spanish is aligned very well because it's their most popular one. So A1, A2, B1, B2. It works very nicely and it builds upon what it did previously. But this is not the same, say, if you're studying Turkish. So if you're studying Spanish, it's quite good. But if you're studying Turkish, what does that say? We don't know. There's been no study done on it. So as I said, Spanish is the most popular language to learn on the app, so of course Duolingo pays attention to it because it brings in the most customers. I mean learners, it brings in the most learners. But not only that, if we keep looking at the paper, it says the exam itself, the study itself was focused on examining the learning outcomes of participants with low Spanish proficiency, meaning only learners that were just starting their language learning journey were actually tested. That means for higher proficiency levels, there's like no information. For me personally, this is the biggest flaw, because when you start studying a language, you can study pretty much anything. If we look here, this little book, this is going to teach me lots right at the beginning of learning a language. I can learn every single word in this book quite fast. Learning a language gets difficult at the higher levels. So If Duolingo only helps you with the basics, how can we say it's the world's best way to learn a language when it doesn't teach you to fluency? So I think Duolingo really breaks down at the later levels. Anything past A2, if you have been studying at those levels, it doesn't tell you why anything is right, why anything is wrong, and it just throws sentence after sentence at you whether you understand it or not. Also at the beginning it's kind of a straight line to learn a language. Learn hello, how are you? Learn cat, learn dog, learn the animals, nice and simple. But when we get past A2, everything gets more complicated, more complex. What should we learn? What word is necessary? What way should I go? And Duolingo really fails in showing us that direction. For me, personally, I have a bigger problem with the study. So the study just took a controlled group of students and then said, use Duolingo for 15 minutes a day and then do that over a 3-month period. Let's see if your Spanish is better than it was. Well, of course, if you're a beginner at any language and then you start studying for 15 minutes a day, in any way, of course, you will have better results at the end. What this research does not take into account is any other method of studying. So why didn't the study have like 4 different groups? One studying from a book, maybe for 15 minutes a day, one using Netflix, one using graded readers, and then one, of course, using the Duolingo for 15 minutes a day. Get the results, compare how well they did on the tests, which person actually did the best, and then we can have good results and see, oh, does Duolingo help more than a different form of study? But as it stands, the study is very, very limited. If you study on Duolingo 15 minutes a day, you will get better. Well, duh. If you study on anything for 15 minutes a day, you will get better. Now I'm going to move on to actually using the app and what happens when you first log in and you start to use the app for yourself. Let's go. I'm going to talk about the data collection here that is disguised as personalization. So the first thing we're greeted with is a cute little Duo bird, aww, who whips out a pencil and a pad to get started taking notes about you, the user, and that's it. That's the truth. It really just takes notes about you for the company. One of the questions asked is, why are you learning Turkish? And I clicked just for fun. Yet when I went through the process again, and I selected different options, strangely, none of the sentences were different. So the system itself did not register my choice as something valuable to me as a learner. This is because when you say, why are you learning a language, and you click that box, it takes the data to better sell to its audience. It's not about you, the learner, it's about them as a company being able to get as many people in as possible. This is very sad because it would be much better if it directed the learning experience to the individual needs of each learner. So once you've answered those questions, it asks you, how long would you like to study on Duolingo? It goes from 5 minutes all the way to a whopping 20 minutes a day. Now 5 minutes says casual. Now I don't know about you, but I can learn absolutely nothing in 5 minutes whatsoever. Whereas 20 minutes is intense. Now I'm an English teacher and I teach 20 to 25 hours a week. My students are all in the classroom for 25 hours a week. That is an intense course. They learn the language over a year, maybe 2 years, depending on how well they can pick up the language. 20 minutes a day is not intense and it's not enough for you to learn a language. This does shine an incredible light on the shallow nature of the app itself. If the learning experience on the app really was fun, why couldn't we study for 4 hours a day on it? This is because it's repetitive and it's boring. The learning strategy here is translate and memorize. A strategy that does work well, I admit, at the lower levels, but it really falls apart when you get up above A2. And this is another area where Duolingo just simply falls down. It does not teach you useful sentences. They are ridiculous. After making my account, entering all my details, getting into the system for the first time, I would say, in about 3 years, and when I first started Duolingo, I was in Spain and I was learning it 10 years ago, I was shocked. I was so shocked to see exactly the same sentences that I'd seen 10 years previous. The same sentences that made me laugh back then and still make me laugh now. First sentence I was presented with, of course I'm using Turkish here, I'm not using Spanish. So it was
Onun pastası yok.
Onun pastası yok, which translates to, he does not have cake. This is the very first sentence it's giving me. He does not have cake. How useful is this? When would you use this sentence honestly? Even with the uselessness of meaning, it could teach you how possessive is used differently in Turkish. But it doesn't choose to do this. It chooses to give you a useless sentence that you'll never use without explaining how the grammar topic could be used better. Onun kitabı yok. Right? He doesn't have the book. Okay, very, very similar sentence, but it can be used in a classroom. Who has the book? He doesn't have the book. Of course, we're just changing the noun here, but it could show you this, it could guide you to this, that someone doesn't have something is formed like this. Of course, you can figure this out yourself, but it's not explicitly said, which means it's very strange that it claims to be such a good learning platform when learning is all about guiding your learner to the destination. As a teacher, I know that's the number one thing to do. It doesn't matter if I have the best material in my mind, if I don't make it easy enough for my students to understand, the material is not good. I think this is a very funny test to see if someone started learning a language using Duolingo. Ask them if they know the word turtle.
Kaplumbağa.
For some reason, Duolingo, again on my very first set, it's obsessed with teaching this word. I know tortuga in Spanish and I know kaplumbağa in Turkish. And I wondered how many other languages does it teach this pretty useless word to at the beginning of the course as almost one of the first things you learn. Put it in the comment section below. Have you tried to use Duolingo to learn a language, and do you know the word turtle in that language? The second sentence I came across.
Senin şekerin.
Senin şekerin, which literally translates to your sugar. Now this is a very strange sentence again. When am I going to say your sugar? Like you might say, can I have sugar in my tea, please? That's a more logical sentence to say, right? That's not the sentence we're learning here. We're learning your sugar. When am I going to have to define whose sugar it is? A useful grammar topic to know how to say someone's something, but why is it such a strange sentence that it's taught through? Again, they could have said benim şekerim at least. Because if they said benim şekerim, okay, it's strange still to say my sugar, but it also has a double meaning. Then it could teach you that they kind of use my sugar in Turkish for like my sweet, as in you're saying to your partner, the person you're romantically engaged with, or the person that you are seeing at that time, you could say honey or sweet. But in Turkish you could say benim şekerim or just şekerim for short, because we could cut out benim entirely. And that's very cute. That's something I might use in my daily life. Şekerim, ne yapmak istiyorsun bugün? I might ask that question. That's something useful that actually helps me in my daily life. But again, I didn't learn any of those phrases from Duolingo itself. This shows that they don't care about the learners, they're not improving their systems, and they're not trying to make the app better in any way. They gamified it more, they give you more stars and more points, but that doesn't mean you're learning the language better. And I think my favorite and maybe the stupidest sentence I always remember,
Bizim atımız su içer.
Bizim atımız su içer. Our horse drinks water. Well, actually how I remember it in Spain was my horse drinks milk, not our horse drinks water, but regardless, it's the same nonsensical sentence that doesn't help you acquire anything. I've never used the sentence other than to say, how stupid is this sentence in Duolingo? Now that isn't to say there aren't some useful sentences in there. There is a sentence, I have a dog, but then the next sentence after that I got was,
Ördekler benim ördeklerim.
the ducks are my ducks. What? Why? It's almost baffling and crazy how many useless sentences there really are. I'm not going to continue listing them here, but this is one of the key reasons that Duolingo just fails. Now let's talk about being super. Of course, you're already super because you're watching this video. No, I mean being a super Duolingo user, of course. So I went back to my account and I wanted to see just how much it would cost me to join Duolingo. And the first thing that happened is I was met with a statistic, a very interesting statistic. It said super learners are 4.2 times more likely to finish the course. Wow, how amazing. Not saying that the Turkish course is any good, or saying that they learn it to a certain degree, to a B1 level or a B2 level, giving some real foundation to the idea that finishing the course is a very positive thing, but they just finished the course. Don't worry about the content, the course was finished. My main problem is that Duolingo is using a very common psychological effect in humans called the sunk cost effect. Clear that whatever you put money into, if it's a subscription like Netflix, you're more likely to go and watch Netflix just because you feel like you don't want to waste that money. So it also promises no advertisements. So you stop giving them money indirectly by clicking on the ads or looking at the ads, and you start giving them money completely directly. Unlimited heart, which means you can play for an unlimited amount of time. Speaking and listening practice on demand. Aren't they the same thing? If I have unlimited heart, don't I have learning on demand? Free entry to legendary and time challenges. I mean, it's too silly to point out the flaw in this one, right? Free entry, but I'm paying a subscription to them, so it's not free. Then the next page it comes up with is everything it just told you. There's ticks next to everyone if you pay for the super, but there's only one tick next to the one on the basic level. Do you know where that one tick is? It's on the content. The most important thing to learning a language is the content, and you're paying for something and you don't even get any extra content, not better listenings, not better sentences. You just pay for a smoother experience with the same rubbish learning materials. In its defense, it does have a little reminder telling you 2 days before the trial is up, so you can actually cancel it before it goes on too long. So maybe if you want to give it a test, you could. But that also leads to another problem. The best thing I could see about becoming a super is learning how to cancel it. Then there's the final nail in the coffin. So there's tiny benefits to becoming super, but what they charge you is about £50 a year. You know what you could spend that £50 on? A very good book that you could use that explains the grammar topics. Go through the book and actually learn the language properly from the beginning. The only time I really recommend using Duolingo, when you have no other access to any other materials. Maybe you're on the toilet, or maybe you're on the train or the bus and you just have your phone with you. Okay, it's not gonna hurt, it will help in some way. We have proven that 15 minutes of study, even if it's not the best study, does help you acquire some language. So this is when I could say it's still sometimes useful. The study claiming that Duolingo helps language learners just proved that if you study something at a low level for 15 minutes a day, it will help you learn it. But it had no comparison. The overall results did not say very much about how fast you'll learn the language. It also may have been biased and misleading. Duolingo does not customize your learning experience, and it does not care about your individual goals. The worst part for me is that the stuff it teaches is contextually redundant. You will not need the sentences that it teaches you, and it doesn't teach you any further depth into why these sentences are used. And finally, the price tag on all of this. So, okay, if there was loads of extra content, they were giving you amazing sentences after you paid for it, or they gave you an extra course book to go alongside of it. I don't know, something that was tangible, that felt great. Maybe you could pay and maybe it would be worth it. But as it stands, just being able to play an unlimited amount and the way they've gamified it to make the serotonin hits just be about getting sentences right, translate, and then yay, you got it right. It doesn't teach you the language well. It just makes you want to have that next level up or that next star. It doesn't help you learn what's happening inside of the language itself. If you want to use Duolingo on a bus or a train, it's definitely going to be better than a game like Candy Crush. But if you really want to learn a language, as always, you need to sit down, have a lot of hours spare to be able to learn that language with proper study books, proper teachers, a proper course, and then you can learn a language properly. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I spend a really long time putting these more edited pieces together, more thoughtful pieces where I write the script myself, I film it myself, I edit it myself. So this is why you might see a long period without anything on the channel, and then a big video will come like this. And I'd really appreciate it if all this effort wasn't, for nothing. I'd really appreciate it if you could just hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with anyone who you think might need this information. Now, if you want to know how I feel about 30 or 60-day courses, you can click here and watch The Truth About Learning English. Also, if you feel like sticking around and doing one of my custom lessons where I follow a PPP lesson plan, which I talk about in that video, you can click here and it will take you to playlists, click your level, and then you can study with one of my lesson plans. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.